RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a fantastic day. Yes, indeedy. This show we're calling Imagining From, and it shouldn't take too terribly long. God, I hope I'm actually in camera. This will be odd if I'm not. Looks like it's looking over here. Whatever. We'll figure it out. So yeah, Imagining From, that song right there was Look Through My Eyes from Phil Collins off some Disney movie back in 2003. I don't remember the name of it. Never saw it. But it's cool, and I love Phil Collins, so there you go. And we're going to be going out with a song by Tapao, Heart and Soul. All right, so why am I doing this one? Well, we're going to be covering a lot of stuff with Goddard over the coming times. And certainly really want to drill in, because I've been really pushing Law of Attraction and all that good stuff. And I think Goddard really is kind of the missing piece, if you will, and I still really feel that way. So the difference between imagining from and imagining of is really what the point of this is. And Agnes and I, when we did our little discussion the other day, long discussion really, that was a key point that came up, and I really made her drive it home. And then, you know, reading the book as I've been doing, I finally came across the chapter where it really was talking about that, ironically. So I'm like, well, let's just go ahead and do a show on that. So kind of getting into Imagine and that whole concept, I got a couple cool quotes here that I thought I would start with, and then I'll dig into it, and we'll try to make this one a quickie. He who does not imagine in stronger and better lineaments, and in stronger and better light than his perishing and mortal eye can see, does not imagine at all. It was William Blake that said that. Pretty sharp guy, right? And also, the secret of causation is in the assembled imagery, but a word of warning. The assemblage must have meaning. It must imply something, or it will not form the creative activity, the word. So essentially, it needs to have some sort of meaning to you, and there needs to be kind of an emotional attachment is sort of what I take from that. It needs to mean something to you. If not, it's just imagining something that means nothing, and that'll never come to, which is good, because if it doesn't matter, then why are you even worried about imagining it, right? So I want to talk about the difference between imagining of something and imagining from something. And I've certainly talked about this, and I think I've done good examples of it, but we're going to do a show that's specifically just that. So when you imagine of something, a lot of works out there, when they talk about trying to manifest and talking about trying to create things, a lot of times they'll have you do things, and I've even done it, have like a picture of something, right? You just put that picture up on your mirror or wherever, you know, so you see it every day. And that picture is supposed to essentially cause you to think of it, see it, and imagine of it, and eventually you'll have it. So in the case of like a car, you might look at the outside of a car, you might have a picture of a car, you might have a picture of a Rolex or something that maybe signifies having lots of money. Or in the case of a relationship, you might imagine someone's face, you might imagine them, right? Their whole likeness, they're them, right? You're imagining of them. Or in the case of maybe like a house, maybe you imagine the actual house itself from the outside. Maybe you look at a couple rooms. Maybe you just have this thought of what the house is. And that's great. You're doing awesome imagination work when it comes to that thing. But the problem is that actually is not necessarily going to help you get it quicker. I think it's probably going to help you create it. So I do think there's power to that process. But I think it actually can take a great deal longer. So what imagining from implies, and using these same examples, so if you're trying to imagine from a car, as I've talked about in the past, you're inside of it, you're driving it, you're smelling the leather, you can feel the seatbelt across your chest, you can see out, you can see the sun in your eyes when you're driving. You're imagining from the perspective of being in the car. You're looking through the rearview mirror and you're seeing what is behind you. You're imagine driving it. You're imagine pulling it up in front of someone's house. And even as something that Agnes kind of pointed out, and we'll certainly share this in the show that I come up with here sometime soon, you actually even want to sometimes imagine yourself in the car, imagining what it was like when you didn't have this car. That's like really, in my mind, the next step. That's like imagining from on steroids. Like if you're doing that, you're awesome. You're going to have this so quick, it's going to blow your mind. So imagining from within the car, but then going, man, I remember when I used to drive that Pinto, or I used to drive that Toyota Yaris, or whatever car you were driving, and now you're in your Porsche, or now you're in your Porsche, depending on where you're from. Now you're in your whatever, right? Now you're driving your Maserati, or your, in my case, a Mazda 6, which I think is a beautiful car. I love my car. So these kinds of things, that's where you imagine from it. In the case of maybe a house, You imagine yourself sleeping in the bed in your bedroom, right? And you can imagine maybe someone sleeping with you. You can imagine yourself getting up out of bed, walking and pulling the blinds open and looking out at the view, maybe having the wind, feeling the wind on your face, then maybe walking into the bathroom and showering or shaving or whatever you do, like not getting into too specific. And then maybe imagine yourself walking down the stairs. Hey, involve your car on this one. Walk out into the garage and see that beautiful car sitting out in the garage. Imagine having friends over. Imagine the party. Imagine the discussions of when you lived in the other place. The part on steroids, right? Imagine from that perspective, like you're living there in your new place, but imagining when you didn't have that, right? Looking back on where you currently are, really, right? But you're imagining it from the location you're manifesting. Or in the case of a relationship, you're imagining yourself being with that person, doing things with that person, smelling their hair, smelling their perfume, touching them, holding hands, walking the dog, whatever you're going to do together. Maybe you're in bed together, legs curled up, cuddled up. It's a cold night, right? Whatever. And you got you got candles in the room or whatever you need to do to imagine it. Wonderful fragrance of those candles mixed with their hair and maybe a ceiling fan blowing a little breeze on you, right? And you can even imagine things that are maybe a little outside of the R rating that I typically try to stick to. I don't cuss a lot, but I want to, always want to drop some F-bombs, but it's not appropriate, right? There you go. So imagining from versus imagining of. It's a key. It's huge. And then again, to take it to that next level, you're actually imagining from that scenario, but when you didn't have it, like you're remembering back of your former self while you're in that new place. It's extremely powerful. And one of the things that I don't want to get lost, and I think is extremely important, especially here in the States, we are not very comfortable using our imaginations. That is something that is really beat out of us at a very early age. And really with all the TV and all the different things like that, we're really taught to just accept what's shown to us. So there's no imagination, none. So really sometimes it can take some effort to get back into the habit of imagining. I'm sure it's like this in other countries too, at least any of the Western type countries that tend to, carry the same sorts of ideals that the United States tends to. We just might be more jacked up than many of you, less free, even though we think we are so free. But all that being said, there's a lot of programming that really tries to keep us from being able to imagine. So spend some time practicing it. Do it every night. 5 minutes, 10 minutes while you're falling asleep, maybe a couple minutes while you're in the shower, whatever works for you. Spend some time every single day and keep doing it until that thing, that dream, that manifestation is yours. If it's something that you truly want, it's worth the time, right? So if it's something you truly, truly want, and right now when you think about it, in a like, I don't have it right now, you're like, it'll take me forever to get that kind of. Forever is a really long time. How about you try manifesting this for a month, maybe 2, maybe 6, right? Depending on how big it is. Maybe a year if it's something really large. But a year is nothing compared to forever, right? So again, try to keep working towards that imagining from concept. And certainly if you can take it that next notch and imagine from, but remembering back when you were not in that place. It's a very, very powerful thing. It's Dan RadioStyle. It's what we're all about. I hope you enjoy this show, Imagining From. And, of course, if you'd like to contact me, feel free to do so at spiritradiodanstyle@gmail.com. And certainly share these videos if you like them, if you enjoy what I've got going on. Please share it with friends and family and anyone else. Try to get them to subscribe because the more subscribers, the easier it is to kind of keep this whole concept going. So very much appreciate your guys' support. We're going to be going out with a little bit of Tapao, Heart and Soul. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you very much.